This is the last of my Shopping My Bookshelves video for the 4th annual Read What You Own challenge. I have done print books, I have done audiobooks, and now I'm going to be showing you what is possibly lurking on my Kindle for this challenge. Welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am participating in the 4th annual Read What You Own challenge, formerly known as the 100 Book Challenge. This is where the evil mastermind created himself a challenge to read 100 books that he already owned before buying another book. And lots of fools like me joined him in that challenge the first year, and this challenge has been growing steadily every year since then. This year, I am a co-host, along with MJ at Reading This Life, and Crystal at Fiber Artsy. We are the cheerleaders to help people along to get through the books that they already own when they are buying too many books. We have a tier system this year with number of books or number of pages that you can read. Now, I will read off the tiers. They are not actually written in stone. You can create your own tiers as you see fit. The platinum tier is 100 books or 25,000 pages. The gold tier is 75 books or 18,750 pages. The silver tier is 50 books or 1,250 pages, and the bronze tier, 25 books or 6,250. And a very unofficial tier level, the Snowflake, where you read 10 books or 2,500 pages. I am, of course, doing the Platinum Challenge because I've done the 100 Book Challenge every year so far. Now, with these digital books, I'm going to be listing 24 potential books that I can read for my challenge. In reality, I'm not going to get to read all of these books. Another reality is other books will probably be substituted for the ones that I don't get to. This is just me looking through all the Kindle books that I've bought over the year and selecting 21 that I think I would like to read for this challenge. I have roughly divided up these books into genre and publication date. Sometimes the publication date might be a little off because I'm going off like Goodreads or Amazon or Wikipedia, and they don't always get things correct. Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, an arcane history of the Oxford Translator's Revolution by R.F. Kuang. This was originally published in 2022 and is 557 pages long. R.F. Kuang is mostly known as a fantasy author. She did write one literary novel called Yellowface. But Babel is an historical fantasy novel set in 1828, Oxford, England. In this England, there is magic, and there's a character named Robin Swift who is working in a tower called Babel. His magic is translation. That's really all I know. I have seen some comments on videos that this book may get a little political. Pedigree by Georges Simenon, originally published 1948, 560 pages long. It has been called Simenon's longest and most adventuresome novel. Oddly enough, it started off as a memoir of him growing up as a boy in Belgium. He showed some early pages to André Gide, and Gide encouraged Simenon to turn it into a novel. This created an odd mixture of fact and fiction. This caused Simenon to quip that everything in the book is true, but nothing is accurate. It takes the boy from the beginning of the century with its political instabilities and terrorist threats and takes him through to the end of World War I. I have read a number of Simenon novels before, including Dirty Snow and a number of his Maggie series. I like his books a lot. The Accursed Tower, a medieval saga of fiery passion by John Cleve, originally published in 1974. It is 176 pages long. John Cleve is the pen name for Andrew J. Offutt. Offutt was a well-respected science fiction author during the 70s. However, he had a better market for his writing skills doing erotica, and this is the story of a young crusader. He is working with Richard the Lionhearted, going into the holy city of Jerusalem. I am guessing that this young crusader is, how do we put this politely, gonna get some on his adventures. Frisk by Dennis Cooper, originally published in 1991. It is 148 pages long. The main character of this novel is also called Dennis. When Dennis is 13, he sees a series of photographs about a boy who was horribly mutilated. Dennis is not shocked. He is not stunned. He is intrigued by the mystery and the power of these photographs, how they came to be. When he's older, he is still surrounded by these images of violence, and he heads off to Europe, to a wasteland of sex. And this is probably going to be gay sex because Dennis Cooper is an LGBTQ plus author. And as I understand it, he is going to meet up with the real model of the boy who posed for these photographs and why the boy did it. Noir by Robert Coover, originally published 2010, 142 pages long. I thought about sticking this book in the mystery section for genre, but I think this is going to appeal more towards the fiction and literary crowd rather than the traditional mystery audience. This has been called a lusty mixture of metafiction with hard-boiled mystery. And I believe this is going to be told in the second person because the description says, "You are Philip M. Noir, private investigator. A mysterious young widow hires you to find her husband's killer. If he was killed, then your client is killed, and her body disappears. If she was your client." So it's going to be a rather interesting mix. It's going to be using the mystery genre to explore the literary genre. At least I think that's what it's going to be. Weyward by Emilia Hart, published 2023, 408 pages long. This is the story of three women in three different times who just might be witches. 2019, there is Kate. She has fled London for a ramshackle cottage that she inherited from a great aunt. The great aunt might be buried in the backyard. 2019, Althea is awaiting her trial for murder. When she was young, her mother taught her magic. Not the spell-casting type of magic in Harry Potter, but natural magic, earth magic. But still, this earth magic is going to be leading to accusations of witchcraft. 1942. World War II is raging. Violet feels trapped on her family's grand estate. She longs for the robust education that her brother is receiving. She is pondering about her mother, long deceased, who was rumored to have gone mad before her death. And then Violet discovers an arcane word, Weyward, scribbled on the baseboard in her bedroom. Could that be her path to witchcraft? I have seen a number of booktubers highly praising this novel, and of course, when it went on sale for $1.99, I had to scarf it up. Goodnight, Moom by Jack MacLane, originally published in 1989, 340 pages long. When you look up this book on Amazon, it is sometimes a little difficult to locate. You type in Goodnight Moom, that is with M-O-O-M, and you always get reverted back to Goodnight Moon, which is a children's novel. But Goodnight Moom is a horror novel. It is about a boy who befriends this being called Moom. And maybe Moom is going to be convincing this boy that a little bit of murder is necessary. Intercepts by T.J. Payne, published 2019, 327 pages long. This book is getting a lot of attention on the internet, I think among the younger crowd mainly, but I wanted to take a look at it. You see, there's this guy named Joe who works at a facility that performs human experimentations. And the tagline is sort of, his work just followed him home. So why not check it out? Maggie's Grave, published 2020, 268 pages long. There is a small Scottish town. I'm going to list it below because I'm not going to try to pronounce this because I will get it wrong. But it's essentially a dead town. It sits forgotten in the shadow of a mountain. There are only 47 residents left. There's nothing to see in this town. There is nothing to do in this town. Except on the top of a mountain, there is a solitary grave that says, Maggie Wall buried here as a witch. Now, I have read 2 other books by Sodergren, and I really enjoyed both of those. So I have high hopes that Maggie's Grave is going to be another excellent novel. Revelator by Daryl Gregory, originally published 2021, 353 pages long. This is sort of described as dark gods and moonshine in the Great Depression. In 1933, there is a 9-year-old girl named Stella. She is being taken care of by her grandmother in the backwoods of Tennessee. But these mountains and these woods are dangerous. The girl finds a dark cavern, and in this dark cavern is the family's personal god, known as Ghost Daddy. Years later, after a tragic accident, Stella has fled her grandmother, but is returning back for her funeral. And there is a young adopted girl named Sunny, and something really horrible is going to happen. No One Rides for Free by Judith Sonnet, published 2022, 138 pages long. Jody was driving her children to a college when a man gets into their car. He is not invited. The man is unhinged. He is going to force them to drive to the desert, where there'll be a series of escalating crimes. And this book does come with a warning. Warning: this novella is incredibly disturbing. It features graphic scenes of sexual violence, torture, and gore. It is not intended for the easily offended readers. I'm down for it. Creepy Me by Will Waugh, 2024, 188 pages long. Will Waugh is a frequent commenter on my videos, and he sent me a message earlier this year stating that he had just self-published his first novel. I picked it up when it was free, or was 99 cents, so now it's time to see if I can get around to reading it. It is the story of a young filmmaker who just might be heading into a world of cosmic horror. Lee is an 18-year-old self-avowed creep. His film has been damaged. It has been overexposed. His girlfriend and his best friend have abandoned him. A strange fungus is starting to grow in his house. And a private body part has started talking to him. I'll give it a shot. The Secret Lovers by Charles McCary, published 1977, 310 pages long. Paul Christopher is a CIA agent working in West Berlin. I believe the storyline is the early 60s. Paul is scheduled to meet a man from Russia. He is smuggling out a document, a handwritten document, and once that document changes hand and the smuggler leaves Paul, Paul sees the smuggler run over by a car. How important is this document? That remains to be seen. This is the third novel in the Paul Christopher series, but as I understand it, it is the second in the storyline. I have read the first novel of the Paul Christopher series. I'm going to list the title down below. The first novel was interesting. It was told mainly in dispatches. I liked it, but it took me a number of years to pick up The Secret Lovers. I picked it up because it was available on Kindle Unlimited, and this is, of course, Dr. November month. Good time to read it. The Man from St. Petersburg by Ken Follett, published 1982, 480 pages long. Before Ken Follett became known as the writer of historical fiction, like The Pillars of the Earth, he was known as a writer of thrillers and adventure stories. And this is an historical novel set just before World War I. A Russian agent has come to London to commit a murder. The Redbreast by Joe Nesbo, originally published in 2000, 626 pages long. It was translated into English from the Norwegian in 2012. It is the third in the Harry Hole series. It has also been voted the best Norwegian crime novel of all time. This novel has two storylines. One is an historical war novel. It is set in the Battle of Leningrad for the most part. There is a mysterious shooting, among other things. Decades later, the US president is visiting Oslo. Harry Hole has been assigned to the security detail, and Harry Hole takes out a potential assassin. And of course, what does this potential assassin have to do with the Battle of Leningrad? I'll just have to read it to find out. Charlesgate Confidential by Scott von de Voyek, published 2018, 319 pages long. It is part of the Hard Case Crime publishing series, and I really do like the hard case crime books for the most part. This is another novel with multiple timelines: 1946, 1988, and 2014. In 1946, a group of criminals pull off the heist of a century, stealing dozens of priceless works of art from the Boston Museum. But the thieves get caught. The art, however, was not recovered. When one of the art thieves is released from prison, he decides he's going to go see if he can recover that lost artwork, as maybe he knows where it is. Murder Gets Even by John Milano, published in 2018, 319 pages long. John Milano lives in my community. He frequently plays pickleball with my wife. He has joined my local book group on one occasion when we were reading one of his other novels. He had a full career in the U.S. government. He rose pretty high, as far as I know. But when he retired, he decided, what am I going to do with my life? I'm going to write mystery novels. And to tell you the truth, I'm not quite sure what this story is going to be about. When he was talking about his writing at our book club, I noticed this was available on Kindle Unlimited, and I said, yes, I'm buying it or borrowing it because it's Kindle Unlimited. So I want to get around to this person's novel. So if I ever meet him again, I can say, I've read a second one of your books. Letters to a Stoic by Seneca. I'm not sure if I can use the word published, but it was basically put together around the year 65. It is 527 pages long. Seneca was the chief advisor to the Emperor Nero, and this is a collection of 24 letters to a young protege, although these letters were always intended to be read by the public, as I can understand. And this is just Seneca describing the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism was the ancient Hellenistic philosophy that flourished in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. It is about practicing 4 virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance or moderation, and justice. It is also about living in accordance with nature. I've read or heard a lot about Stoicism, but I've never actually read any of the Stoics' philosophies. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, published in 2015, 423 pages long. It is the first of the Wayfarers series. I became aware of this book from Criminale. He gave it a rather rave review, but mostly what he really likes about the writing of Becky Chambers is that she writes optimistic science fiction. I think it's either called solar punk or hope punk, but it is conceived as an opposite for the grim, dark series that are so downbeat and serious. It is just hopeful, happy science fiction that is also adventuresome and entertaining. I'm not sure that I will get along with the optimistic science fiction. I usually do like my stories a little grimmer, but you never do know until you try something. So I'm going to give this solar punk or optimistic punk a try. Star Eater by Kirsten Hall, published in 2021, 446 pages long. I have seen this novel described rather flippantly as cannibalistic nuns in space. Apparently, there is a religious order somewhere in the future that has to sacrifice children to their deities and eat them to gain whatever it is that they're trying to gain. I think this book is going to be much, much darker than The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. So maybe I should read those two back to back and see which type of genre I prefer. Okay, that is a wrap. Shopping from my digital bookshelves. Just for grins and giggles, I went back to my previous two shopping shelves, print and audio, and I'm doing a calculation of all the potential pages I could be reading. From print, 5,901 pages. Audio, 9,492 pages. And digital, 6,997 pages. If my math is correct, that's a total of 22,390 potential pages that I could be reading if I don't swap anything out and add in anything new. And that's within spitting distance of the end of the challenge. Who knows when that will happen? I do hope it is within 25 weeks. I am just a little bit ahead on my reading page count, but I'm sure to get to some troublesome times in the future. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.